Up, guys. Timekeepers right. Judges, competitors, go. This is the veteran shear sponsored by WBS. Heat 1 underway at the moment, and I'm just going to introduce, we've got a bit of international flavour in our commentary team. We've got Bill Jones from Wales, and Bill, big welcome to Masterton. Good to see you back again, and have you enjoyed these shears so far?
Yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. What a shearing competition. Absolutely brilliant, and it's a pleasure to be here and a great honour for me to be commentating alongside you, John.
Well, interesting competition this, of course. The clean shear was a special arrangement with a show once upon a time where you actually had shearing classes and then you had a clean shear as well, which drew the day out a little bit to shore the sheep under a hidden time, although they tell me the hidden time is 5 minutes. Most of these guys won't want to let it get that far away from them. But to shear it with the least amount of second cuts to the wool. And that's what we're all about. Started out in shearing competitions years ago, was to improve that the wool harvest, and it's spread right throughout the world, and we're all running on the same plane level now, and it's good to see so many of the Welsh competitors over here, Bill, competing in Masterton for 2015.
Yeah, fantastic. There's been loads of Welsh boys. I think there was about 50 of them in Lake Taupo over Christmas. A lot of them have come down here to the shears, and they're doing really well. God, these old boys are competitive, aren't they, John? Look at them going down the last side. They're out through the hind leg. Jim Edmonds on one there, doing a cracking job. In goes John Hodder for sheep 2. Look at the quality on those sheep going down the portal. Absolutely fantastic. Jim Edmonds pops in for 2. Hugh McCarroll going well there on stand number 3. Out through that hind leg. Barry Kidd in for 2. These boys are huffing and puffing as they come out the pens.
Yeah, they're fairly lively sort of a sheep, but so these are pretty lively sort of a characters up there as well. And they won't want to come off second best, will they? There'll be a ringers cup, no doubt, between them, and for the fastest time, perhaps. And as you can see, the time points are being calculated at 2 points, at 3 points per minute. Every 20 seconds there is a point added on for time. And then, of course, the number of second cuts have been recorded on the big TV screen there above the shearers. So here they go. Jimmy Evans steps up the neck here on the front stand. Number 1 up over the tail is Ralph Smith from Dargaville. Hugh McCarroll, well, he's been at the top of the shearing game for a long time. He's been chairman of the national committee. He's going right down to the toenails to get that undermine started, and up over the tail he goes. Oh, the pressure though. Look at Johnny Hodder. He's really stoking it off down there, Bill. He's been in charge of the pressing here over the last couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. Hugh McCarroll going well. They're doing a beautiful job. Jim Edmonds is turning to come down that last side. Phil Woodward, he's sliding down through that hind leg there. Down on sheep 6, on stand 6.
Johnny, push your button, Johnny. Good stuff. Got to remember, you guys, those buttons weren't invented when you fellas started cheering. You got to get the flashing lights. Jimmy Edmonds completes the task there, and so does Barry Kidd. So these guys, there's not much between them.
What I like about them, John, is they've all got a big smile on their faces when they finish.
Well, they've got them shorn under 5 minutes, so that was half the battle. Great to see these old guns come back and have a go here at the 55th Golden Shears. These guys were coming before I even was thought about the shearing competitions, and Hugh McCarroll coming down the last side.
Hugh McCarroll, we stayed with Hugh and Biddy down there at his beach house down in Whangamoto, and what a man he is. Give him a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. That's the first heat of the veteran shearing.
Okay, move on. All the years some of these people have been going up on the stage down here, they never knew where to find the oil bottle. It's always above the porthole. Oh, we got one of these characters here on stand number 2 trying to influence the judge already. Of course, a lot of them are shearing judges and people that have worked in the wool industry all their life, so good to see him. We have a green light up the top. We have the shearers on the board. Neil, get out of there. You'll only get hurt. We can't have that. We don't want any injuries. Osh should be on our tail. Okay, gentlemen. Timekeepers right. Judges, competitors, go. Notice how I just had to say that a little bit louder, Bill, because the fact was some of these guys turned their hearing aids off so they can't hear me. But anyway, here we have on Richard Pearson from Carterton. He's a bit of an import into New Zealand many years ago, never left. On stand number 2, we've got Neil Sidwell from up in the north, the Silverdale. Neil has done pretty much everything in shearing, managed the New Zealand team to a great success to the UK a few years ago. And we've got JJ Kringle from Tokanui on stand number 3, a legend in the south. Ian Stewart from Masterton. He's looking pretty good. He's affectionately known as Scotty. He's a real hard case, and he's served Golden Shears well. Jack Dowd down there from Raglan. This guy invented the graceness of shearing, I'm sure.
Well, good afternoon, viewers from the World Wide Web. Welcome back to the 2015 Golden Shears. And in the studio this afternoon is myself and Gerald Spain from the Deep South. Gerald, we have one thing in common. We both have been shearers, and you milk cows and I milk a little bit of cows. So we're on the same path. Yeah. We've worked our way there. So, look, this afternoon the Golden Shears is just about ready to kick off with the open shearing. At the moment, you've got a mate up there. Who's your mate?
Oh, my mate up there at the moment is JJ Kringle, actually. He's in these veterans up there. It's amazing how times change, but how that shearing part of you stays in your blood, because he's JJ. We don't know how old he is because he never tells us. But he's 70-something, and he was second here, 5 years ago when they had the veterans, so he'd be hungry for a win. Hugh McCarroll won it that year, he told me. And believe it or not, Snow Harrison, or Ian Harrison, who was in the very first final of the Golden Shears, with the Godfrey Bowens and that, and he's the last surviving member, is either shearing in this heat right here or on the heat to come, and that shows you how shearing gets inside who you are, and you just can't get rid of it. It's just, as I said, it's like a cat wanting to catch a bird, isn't it? It's just part of who you are.
Inbred. He's got grease running through his veins. Well, there we are. There's the state of the play at the moment. And how's Mr. Kringle going? He's going pretty good.
Yeah, he's a tremendous
Actually,
shot.
He's the top qualifier in that heat so far. So your mate from the Deep South is fantastic. There he is.
That's JJ there.
He comes from Tokanui.
Yeah.
Those are the name of the mountains down there, aren't they? It's the big hill, Tokanui?
No, Tokanui's sort of more, it's sort of flattish, peat ground. He's actually at Gorge Road, to be honest with you, which is just before Tokanui. So lots of districts down there, and they blend in with each other, Coro. So it's, Tokanui come Gorge Road. There's not a lot of debate over it, really. But yeah, he's down there. He's a bachelor boy, and he's spent his whole life has been dedicated to shearing. Whether he was a shearer, a shearing instructor, I shore with him for a number of years when he took the 4-stand. Then he's been a shearing judge for years, a shearing referee, whatever it takes. JJ's highly involved. He likes the camaraderie. He
Yeah.
likes mixing and mingling with us and catching up and having a beer afterwards. He's a champion guy, and here he is on the long blow now, and he concentrates like he's been, even in the shed, he's spotless all the time. He's really, really clean. He hits that last side now. There he goes, just flicks that out of the way. Brilliant little style. He always was well bent over like that too, and he gets his head right down there. But he makes a really clean job. He'll be hungry for a win. He's making out he's not. He's making out he just wants to do it, and he's come up with Snow Harrison for some company. But the truth is,
he's as competitive as hell.
Yeah.
He's as competitive as hell.
He'll be waiting for a day when because we do a lot of speed shares locally down there. I'm on the MC or commentating,
yes,
and he's on the red and green flag, whether it's up to standard or not. So he'll be waiting for that chance where, publicly I can tell everyone that JJ Kringle was one.
Hey, look, Gerald, his points there at this stage is pretty damn good, and there's 20 odd veterans over the age of 65, and it's great to see. And we got Ian Stewart, Scotty as we call him, from Masterton. He was one of the chief referee here at the Golden Shears for a long time, and I suppose at this time we should say thanks to the sponsors who have sponsored this. It's WBS, Wairarapa Building Society, and they've been around. That's at the top left-hand side of the screen. Smoke Free has also sponsored us as well. So we got one more of these heats, and before we go along, and we probably, once we hit the open heats, it's going to be full on. So just recap on the standings of where our open guys are. David Fagan is still the favourite from the TAB.
He is, yeah. Well, I had a bit of a study at lunchtime there. I got all my information out on them all and tracked them all to see what they've been doing of late. There's a lot of tremendously good shearers there, and there is another wave of young ones coming up. The David Buicks, who made the final last year, got sixth, going well in the circuit up before the show here today. Angus Moore.
South Island boy.
Yeah, Troy Piper from Invercargill. Troy's been in Aussie for a couple of years. He's come back, he's got back onto the crossbreeds, now really starting to hit his straps. He's mentally focused. I've had a good old chat to Troy, and he's told me where he's at. So he's ready to go. He's also in made the PGG national top 12.
Yeah.
So that's given him a boost of confidence. So there's a lot going on, and then you do have Stratty's been there 5 times. That could pull it off. He's done it before here with the PGG national event. That would have stimulated confidence that he can do this on this big stage. He's done it on a lot of other stages, but he hasn't pulled it off here. But in saying that, David Fagan is really, really performing this year.
How about that Iron Man, Darren Ford? Touch a little bit more about him.
Darren Ford, look, absolutely fantastic man and a legend down south. He's a man of few words. He just lets all his action or his hard work and all those ethics talk for him. He can shear sheep like a Trojan. He works very, very hard in the shed. Probably past his peak, and Darren won't mind me saying that. He has other distractions now. He runs a contract business down home. He's got to organise sheep and shearers and food and dogs and all these sorts of things. They're distractions that you don't really need when you're got to be fully focused to win at this level. But he's up there. He does his thing. He could pull it off. On his day, Darren Ford still has the stamina and strength and constitution to do it, and the ability.
Well, David Fagan at the age of 53, that's a phenomenal feat, and 30 odd years of competitive shearing, weekend after weekend. He's been all around the world. I don't think he's had a winter in New Zealand in 30 odd years. So after all those years of training on the shearing boards, this is an opportunity. We work hard in the shearing sheds. It's sometimes dusty, smelly, the food is not always the greatest, and this is an opportunity that we get to display our skills on this beautiful stage here. Atamira is the name of the stage, the Māori name for a stage platform, and then we can display our skills that we've learnt in the boondocks out in the hills and put it up here on top of these guys. So throughout the afternoon we really want to inform the viewers the roles of our judges and things like that, and how the time points work and things like that. So let's go back to this event. So we got Rex Salisbury, Peter Lua, Ken Massey, Ian Harrison, Lawrence Tyree, and I think Rusty Campbell could be 83.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I
good.
think there comes a time when you're too old.
Oh, yes, you're right.
You tell him that.
I'm sitting here at 47 with a stiff back thinking,
He's got a moustache like a blingin' longhorn cow, and he wears his cowboy hat. So,
Oh, he's young at heart, then, isn't he?
he's young at heart. But look at this Ken Massey, he's 80-something years of age. And they probably shore at the very first Golden Shears, and that's neat about them.
Yeah, it's great to see them travel from Bluff to Kaitaia to come here. Like they've been there and done that. They've had their heyday, but there's still something that draws you back. And here's the man I spoke of earlier, Ian Harrison, or Snow Harrison, actually, is his nickname. Yeah, he was the finalist in the original Open
1962.
final. Unfortunately, he's the last surviving member of that final, and he's a fit, sprightly young man. I call him young because he bounces around. He's full of energy and vitality. I must talk to him about how he, at that age, can be still,
So he's in his mid-80s, this guy.
Yeah, he will be. Yeah, look at him. He's
We should have seeded these guys, shouldn't we? Coming up on the age. The 65-year-olds are only blinging kittens compared to these guys.
That's right. Look at him. He's still got a good stroke there, isn't he? This will be the old Godfrey Bowen style, the very original, even though it hasn't been changed a lot.
Yeah.
It's still, I don't know how Godfrey pulled that off, really, because it was done a long, long time ago. But within reason, it's still done like that today. Look at those good full combs he's done on the last side there. He says, oh, Charlie, that's halfway. Right, one left standing.
Give us another one.
Give us another one. We'll get into it. A Timaru boy, Lawrence Tyree. Now, he's just done the long blow. I'm thinking, I'm just going to get this job nice and right and clean. Brushes that cheek pull clear. Down he goes. Still getting judged on the board.
He wouldn't be 70 years old, this guy, would he? Or it'd be all of that?
Yeah, he'd be all of that. Yeah, he would be, this man. The funny thing is, I was telling John about it. The other, my commentating mate, they put a time on it. They said they got 5 minutes, young fellas,
and then they'll turn the machine off.
And then they'll turn the machine off. So they take no prisoners at the Golden Shears, and I don't mean that in a polite way. Yeah.
Well, this guy's got a couple of new hips, hasn't he?
Yeah, well,
turn his hearing aid down, and isn't it great, these old guys that were here in the 60s? Here's celebrating 55 years of Golden Shears. That's Rusty. He's a guy with the longhorn moustache. Well, look, he's still got his trowel that he wore in 1960. He's wearing the old tweed there.
He is too. He's got bow-yangs on, is he? No, he hasn't. No, normally, ladies and gentlemen, you'd have those bow-yangs on there. Nowadays, the trousers they're tighter down the bottom of the leg, and they've got the wee zips to get them on and off, like sports track pants.
Yes.
Back in those days, though, as you said, Cora, the tweed pants, and they used to tie bow-yangs around the calf muscle to get the trousers. They would fold them in and over each other, and they'd tie the string or a bow-yang around there. And that would prevent you from cutting them all day.
Right.
Otherwise, of course, you go
end up with no trowel.
You're shearing in shorts, which is not ideal. But yeah, Rusty Campbell is just heading down towards the undermine there. This is Snow Harrison again. Travelled all the way from Invercargill, Snow.
Where's Waikiki?
Waikiwi's just literally a suburb of the city of Invercargill, actually. So it's just on the north side of Invercargill. You'll head through it just on that main drag to head to Queenstown. Waikiwi's the last place you'll head through, and then you're off ski. And that's where he lives. And him and JJ Kringle, the man I spoke to from Gorge Road, Tokanui way, they come up together. And I shouldn't tell you this on TV, but they've been out practicing. They've been out to a few neighbours' sheds and doing a couple,
burgling.
Yeah, just making sure they're still not as rusty as they thought they might have been.
Well, I think you would have to do a little bit of homework back home to before you got up onto the stage.
Yeah, true. But yet they arrived here and they come up and said to me, is there any other Southerners here? I said, there's a heap of Southerners here, JJ, no panic. He said, well, we've only got one pair of mocks and one handpiece.
Between the two of them?
Between the pair of them. So they haven't taken it too seriously. I said, don't worry, Brett Roberts is here and a couple of the Waihappies are here from Matara. They'll have a pair of mocks and a comb and cutter for you, and you can get up and do your business. So,
that's great. So Ken Massey from Carmore in the Northland area switches off. Tyree's just into the undermine. I think he's the guy with two new hips. and a new knee.
It's good advertisement, really, isn't it, for the robotics in the body. Over there, he takes that top knot off. Well presented sheep, all the way through. Well presented here, Coro. But from day dot, whether they're wool handling or shearing from Thursday morning to now, and it won't change. The presentation of the sheep has been phenomenal, and the drafting of the sheep has been absolutely phenomenal. We haven't had any issues that way at all, which has been brilliant.
Well, the long wools come out from the coast, a property called Cross Keys, and Wicks is the name of the guy out there, and he supplies sheep for the training day for Wool Systems. Have a training day at Williams's wool shed, and then the day before on Wednesday we had the pre-shears wool handling championships. He supplies sheep for that, and then he brings the balance of them here for the Golden Shears. And it's very hard to find full wool this time of the year in the North Island, where it's a common thing in the South Island to have full wool around Christmas time, isn't it?
Yeah, very
Which
much
used
so.
to be.
Yeah, things have changed down there. All the dynamics of farming has changed down there, of course. But still a lot of full wool shorn down that way. Christmas, January, all in and around there. Hence why it's an advantage to us in their full wooled, shearing shows, because we're as shearers. They're doing that all the time. It becomes very familiar to them, and then they've got to really step up their game when they start hitting these second shear, where the North Islanders and all those boys are shearing them full time, and they know all the tricks of the trade when it comes to shearing that second shear, and they know all the tricks of the trade when it comes to shearing those lambos, don't they?
Yeah. Well, we're coming up, viewers, ladies and gentlemen. Well, there'll be children and our viewers from all around the world. There'll be a lot of people tuning in from the United Kingdom now, Australia, wherever sheep are shorn. We've had a sheep shearer from Japan. Konnichiwa, Japanese people, if you're listening in. Bula bula, if you're an islander. Ni hao, if you're a Chinaman. So we've got lots of people. We've even had a Chilean. Ole. Hola. Ole is the way they say hello. So if there's any Chileans viewing in, and if there's any old Horis, well, kia ora, and welcome to the World Wide Web. And Australians have got a good team this year, haven't they? The test tomorrow night. I think they've got it all over the Kiwis.
Yeah. It'll be very, very
there.
Interesting. Going on last year, they kept us very honest last year and took it out, and they're going to keep us very honest this year. We're going to back our Kiwis as we would, Cora. But they're going to have to be really on their song with these Merinos. One, because they're, again, so experienced in that. But yet they're becoming so more skilled when it comes to the lambs in the second shear. We were once upon a time, not long ago, we could drop our guard on the Merinos and nail them when the second shear comes, and nail them when the lambs come. But that's not happening now. It didn't happen last year. We tried to catch them.
We can't sit back.
No.
We don't have the experienced team, no disrespect to our guys, but there's a couple of new guys in there that haven't had the mileage under their belts. Those Aussies, that Shannon Warnest has been a world champ, and he's been in the team 10, 12 times. So the longest guy we've got in our team is probably, our other two guys would probably only have half his experience. So that's coming tonight. Now we've just come to the end of our veterans class, and we're going to hand you back to Toby to the auditorium, and Gerald and I will be back in a little while when we get underway with the open eats. Thank you, Toby.
So there's some good investments out there if you're game enough to have a go. Of course, they haven't even shorn yet, so we're going to welcome up. You can see now that's the last heat of the veteran shear up there on the board. And we're now going to rock on into the open class.